Yo, what's up guys? How's everyone doing? Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Guys, yeah, of course we are going to be going into Bitcoin technical analysis in this live stream. I just want to give a quick shout out to one specific person in this chat. I need to bring up the chat though, because I didn't have a chance to do that. I think his name was Josh. Was it Josh? I don't want to get it wrong, because it's so important. And of course, it is with reference to smashing those likes. So yeah, absolutely amazing to see people yet again, as always, you know, waiting for these streams to start. Need to find this comment here, Josh. If you were Josh, I don't know if you weren't, it's kind of awkward. But yeah, I can't find it right now. I'll get to it in just a second. Guys, so right now what we're looking at is a bilateral pattern. So I made a video on basic candle patterns, and if you haven't seen it yet, it is a must watch because it is what Bitcoin is following very closely as of late, or has been following very closely. I've got the name now. Hold on, it is Thomas. Where'd I get Josh from? Thomas Snyder. Absolutely amazing. Thank you for smashing those likes, mate. Being the first one. Yeah, so we've got a bilateral pattern, and what this means is that our trend has been up. So since I gave that sound, why am I on the Poloniex chart? I don't know. Let's go over to Bitfinex. So since I gave that signal, we've had the triple bottom, we've had the futures reversals, we've started an uptrend, and really it has been a constant decline. We've been setting a constant, what's the word? Like incline? Whatever, ascension. We've been setting higher highs. As you can see, each high gets progressively higher. Alright, and we're also setting lower lows. So the first low was over here when we hit 5,800, followed by a higher low, I don't know why I said lower low, a higher low, which was in at just below 6,100 on Bitfinex. And since then, this is just to set the scene for you, to tell you that we are in a definite uptrend. And what this current price movement here means right now, actually this is useless on the 4-hour, this one-day chart is showing us that we're actually continuing to go up while our trend is already up. And this is, it's concerning, because what you want to see is, in an uptrend, you want prices to go down a little bit and just make sure that, you know, it consolidates and it fights against the trend a little bit, because bears want to regain control. There's a lot of psychological factors at play. And so, to see prices continue to go up, I forgot to close my Telegram here. To see prices continue to go up with an uptrend when you're meant to be consolidating or going down instead, it's actually a red flag. Guys, can we just make sure the audio is okay, because I have some doubts right now. Someone getting the like button pregnant. I mean, I'm not sure if that was the aim, but I'll take it. Yeah, so this trend going bilateral, that's what it means. And you get three types of candle patterns. You get continuation patterns, reversal patterns, and bilateral. So continuation reversals is pretty much self-explanatory, but do watch that video for more information. Good sound, thank you very much. Finally got a live stream. Great to see you here, Kim. Yeah, but with this continuing climb, it has made me a little bit concerned that we could see a dip. And in last day's lives, I can't speak today, this is so weird, but in yesterday's stream I did mention that we could be seeing a bit of a dip, and that was down to a lot of factors, the main one being the Ichimoku cloud resistance. And this is where I go to Coinbase now, because what we saw here, let's take this Elliott wave off. What we saw here was a rejection of the Ichimoku cloud on the one day, and my settings for that have been 20, 60, 120, 30. So this is typically what we see within the cryptocurrency space using these presets, because these markets get traded 24/7. There's never any downtime, so those numbers have been adjusted slightly to work for crypto a little bit better. And what we've seen now is the first, second, going on third rejection of this Ichimoku cloud right now. You know what? I was confused about the significance of this, alright? Because yesterday the stream sounded very bearish, and some people got upset by that. They really shouldn't have, because, you know, none of this is financial advice and whatever. You guys have heard it. But, you know, I thought maybe it's worth looking over this again, because I've been in this space for 15 months, and being in crypto for a year is like being in regular markets for multiple years, just because the movements of prices are so strongly condensed within within this time frame. And so even though I have spent a decent bit of time in this space doing technical analysis, making a shitload of mistakes, there are things that I still don't know. All right, so I'm still accumulating knowledge, if that's the right word to use, reading books on TA. And so, I figured this is something where I just don't know what's going to happen. But there's an easy solution to it, and it is to seek more knowledge. So I skipped ahead to the Ichimoku Cloud chapter of one of the books I'm reading, and I didn't find anything useful. So right now, I've got two bearish things going on in my mind right now, and it is we've got a bilateral pattern which isn't supposed to happen. Like I said, we should be going down instead of continuing up. Now this doesn't mean we're going to go down. Really, it's more like a 50-50 because it's showing that the bulls have strength. It's just not showing that the bulls are letting go, and so they could run out of steam very easily. And when we're about to approach a huge Ichimoku cloud like this, and guys, bear in mind, for those of you who missed it yesterday, we've been rejected 1, 2, 3, 4 times already. Sorry, no, 4. Yeah, well, this is the 4th time now, isn't it, that we've been rejected from this Ichi cloud. And so it's a very valuable indicator. I mean, if we go back, every time the prices hit these support clouds, it bounced off. So it bounced off over here, it bounced off earlier when it hit the bottom of this green cloud. So it does it all the time, and that's until there's a reversal. And so you just consider how reliable this indicator is. I made a separate video on this as well. You can check it out by typing 4Flies Ichimoku in the search bar, and it will come up. But just the fact that we've been rejected. I mean, even when we had our support cloud when the bubble was popping, we hit the bottom of this cloud and we found support and we bounced up. Unfortunately, it couldn't be sustained, but we now know that this indicator is extremely valuable, and so this resistance did concern me. But, if you looked at the title of this video, I actually said Bitcoin one more dip before moon, and, I think that it's very possible. Let's probably go to, actually, let's stay on this. I think that it is very possible that we retrace to a level, let's take these lines off, like 7,200, 7,100, or 6,800. I do think those are levels that we will be retracing to. And I saw someone's comment about Crypto Kirby says we usually see a dip when the RSI hits 70. JBV, you know what, lately Bitcoin hasn't been respecting the RSI. It has not been doing so for a very long period of time. We're talking weeks now. But the RSI used to be one of my favorite indicators. That said, there comes a point where we have to take it into account. And even though I don't like the RSI indicator for the moment, last stream I did acknowledge that our our reading on the RSI was extremely high. And even now, after this consolidation, we've had how long of a consolidation pattern? It's gone on for, 1 day and 20 hours. Even after that much time, we're still overbought. So let's actually check out the real reading. They've changed. I don't know why they would change the interface on this. Just completely and utterly useless. Like I can't find it now. Okay, I've got it. Where is it? Yeah, so it's 75 right now, and anything above 70 means that it is overbought, and so that's typically a sell signal. So what I am looking for is a decrease in the price a little bit. We need to see a retrace because, the way I see it, I've been toying around with this idea that maybe we hit levels like 6,800. I don't think it's likely. I don't think we're going to go that low. If we look at this consolidation pattern, we have been respecting this range very nicely. Alright, I mean, we wick up and down a little bit, but for the most part, for a whole day, going on 2 days, we have been in this range very, very, very cleanly. And so, I don't think, were we to break this trend, that we would drop much lower. Someone in the VIP chat actually mentioned, a better indicator, because I was pulling up the 1 hour Ichi, a better indicator than that to use would be the EMA ribbon. Which, sorry about that, which does indicate that we could be finding resistance between 6,800 and the high 7,100. So this, sorry, not resistance, support, which does line up with what I've said. Now, even though I said I don't think we're going to go as low as 6,800, it would, in my opinion, be the best case scenario. And the reason for that is, if we were to drop down, I said this yesterday, I think, as well. If we were to drop down to a level like 6,800, what that's going to tell us is 6,800 has held as a support level. It's been resistance turning support, and that's going to tell the bulls that we're going to go higher, and so they'll buy with big volume. It's also going to tell the bears that they can't drive the price lower, and so they'll get even more exhausted than they are already. So we've gone over some of the main indicators that I love using, and so right now my sentiment is we're going to see a bit of a dip. I'm kind of surprised it hasn't happened yet. This pattern we're seeing is actually very bullish. Even if we, especially if we go down to something like 6,800 and we bounce off, that's extreme. I mean, that's the best case scenario in my opinion. I don't think it's going to happen because it's so much lower from where we are right now, and we don't have as much bot pumps and dumps in this market at the moment, and so it's possible that us being only human traders dominating this market right now, prices don't get driven that low, because I just don't think it would be natural. But that said, finding support in this EMA ribbon is still very much on the cards, and I think it would be a very good thing. It's going to help the RSI correct a little bit. It's also going to help people who possibly missed out on buying Bitcoin under 6,800 resistance to buy up again, give them a second opportunity, and so that does create a bit of a situation where the demand outweighs supply. And right now we're in a bit of a stalemate, obviously, because prices are just going sideways. But like I said, this is typically a very bullish pattern. I mean, we have gone up, we're trading sideways now, so this is a bull flag, and what happens after a bull flag is we go up again. So if I were to just drag this chart down a little bit, where's the arrow? Just if I were to plot an arrow, we'd be looking at something like this. We consolidate a little bit, and then we pump back up, and we consolidate, back up, we consolidate again, and it goes on for a little bit longer. So really, that's the pattern we'd be looking at for the long term. And like I said, the only thing, in my opinion, in the way of that is the Ichimoku Cloud resistance. And it's such a powerful indicator, because like I said, it has been widely successful literally every time you go back for a whole year, with the exception of, obviously, when the bubble popped, that being the only exception. The Ichi Cloud has been respected. And so there is a possibility that people believing it's going higher could simply be deluded. Alright, this is just part of the delusion that you see in markets. They believe it's going higher, but then in hindsight, when it goes down, they realize, well, how could I have been so stupid? I felt the same thing when it was at $10,000, because for real, I didn't give a signal for it because it was quite risky, but I did think we were going to climb above $10,000. I mean, it looked extremely likely. It was out of desperation, I'm going to admit. And of course, it didn't happen. And so looking back, it was extremely clear. I mean, we had the Ichi Cloud, we had the 200-day MA moving average as resistance, which is huge. I mean, Bitcoin hasn't respected it, but I guess this being the exception, I should have expected it to happen anyway. We also factor in the EMA crossover being negative. Now this time though, we are actually about to form, I think, one more candle, regardless of whether it's red or blue, will give us a positive, a bullish EMA crossover, and so typically that is a buy signal. If we're still within a consolidation pattern like we are right now, what that's going to tell, especially seasoned traders, is that this is a time to buy. We're going to have the EMA ribbon crossover, we're going to have the 4-hour EMA crossover, not ribbon. We're also going to have the 4-hour support. Everything has set up to look very bullish, and of course, if we look back historically, Bitcoin has also respected the EMA ribbon, so it's acted as support, it's acted as resistance. Now there are exceptions. This June-July trading zone has been very choppy, and so just being completely sideways, EMAs don't work very well. They work best in a sustained trend. So we're looking at a downtrend, things like this. It works as resistance very well. Every time we hit this EMA ribbon, we get rejected. Maybe we go a little bit higher, but then eventually we get rejected. But when we do go sideways, like I just said, it does kind of fall apart. It also acts as support, and so that is why I do think we could definitely be looking at a dip to test this EMA ribbon and potentially continue our way back higher. And of course, we look at the fundamentals, we look at the news in the space. It's been positive, and of course, that's not a coincidence. I'm fairly sure that this is all lined up potentially for manipulation to drive prices higher at a certain time. I mean, come on, we get so much bearish news on the red days, and then it's completely silent from the bears, and then on the green, on the blue days, you get a bunch of bullish news, right? So it finally does seem like we are getting positive news influencing the market. Lately, it hasn't been the case. Anytime we get news, it wouldn't affect the market. But if it was bearish news, it would send us down. It looks like that's potentially flipping a little bit, because if you guys do remember, BlackRock with this ETF news turned out to be it turned out to be fake, and so my initial impression was a bit of worry, because that was one of the things, it seemed to me, that drove the market higher. In hindsight, though, it didn't influence anything. I mean, the BlackRock news came out that the CEO denied all of those things, and prices just kept on going higher. So it's not concerning to me, actually. I mean, it looks like things have flipped a little bit, and so because of that, I am retaining my bullish bias. I'm just being extremely careful right now. I mean, if you guys remember my signal, I gave a buy signal over here, a long signal over here, and again over here, and so my objective is to trade the bigger swings, right? I'm talking swings above $500. I'm not really interested in, for example, shorting up here and then riding it down $200 for, I mean, the gain would be huge, right? On 25x, you might still get like a 50x gain or whatever, but I'm in it for the bigger numbers. It's a lot easier to trade those, I've found, because you don't have to worry about bots. Bots aren't as influential in the market right now, as I have said, but they still do trade the smaller time frames. For example, if we look at the 5 minutes, we're getting periods of complete sideways movement with no volume, followed by big pumps and dumps, and so it's still going on to a lesser extent, but nonetheless not a good trading environment, in my opinion. And many people will have their own varying opinions on this. I mean, in VIP we've got one member who is very aggressive with his trades, and it works out perfectly for him. More power to him. It's amazing. I mean, we can gather different trading styles. It's exactly how I did it myself. I mean, I looked at a bunch of different analysts and learnt from all of them, took parts that I liked from them, and then formed my own trading style, which I present to you guys now. And so what I am looking for now is the next major move up. I want to see how these support levels hold. It's possible we don't even test lower and we just pump up again. Even though, even if that is the case, I'm completely fine with that. I am willing to miss out on this action just because it seems very uncertain. The risk to reward ratio right now is not good, in my opinion, for entering trades, simply because if we were to go up, our next level of resistance is 7,500, 7,600, 77. I will show you that with our VPVR indicator, which, as you guys do know by now, it is an indicator which shows you how much volume is being traded at a certain price range. And so what we can see, zoom this in a little bit, what we can see here is that it's right at this level. This is inaccurate, so we will have to zoom out a little bit more. What we can see is at this level, 7,500 it should be. We get a lot more trading volume within this range relative to where we were before. So this is why I was so sure once we breach 6,800, there's basically no volume being traded at these prices, and so it would be a very clean run up. And of course, it was exactly that. With our order somewhere around here, we were able to write it up very nicely for amazing profits. It's it works very nicely with the VPVR indicator, yet we do have a lot of resistance here, and so this is where I placed one of my first targets being 7,300, and that is pretty much where we're consolidating now, just $130 above that. After that, though, I do think it will be breached. We're going to be looking at targets of about 8,200, but these targets will be very easy. After that, it's going to be a run up into the 9,000s, really, where it will get more difficult, and once we get above 10, it's a fairly easy run to 11.6, and as you guys know, 11.6 is the key. It is the key number that I'm looking for to see how well Bitcoin can run. If it were to breach 11.6, that is where that's where I'd give the 100x buy call and sell your house and buy Bitcoin kind of thing, right? Obviously not, but it is the big deal, right? And that's what I'm waiting for. I'm ready to go through your questions. I've been monitoring these comments a little bit, And I'm not sure if I saw any questions here. Long-term view of Bitcoin after this pump, I have no idea. It's not my, it's not what I trade. I trade, what's going to happen in the next day, next 2-3 days max. That's what I do. And for more long-term looks, you're talking about fundamentals. And I'm not a fundamental analyst, unfortunately. I picked one, and I picked technical. Because I find it more fun. Hey, Four Flies, thanks for the video. I have always wondered, why do bears want to keep the price down? Stephen, thank you very much. Glad you liked the video, mate. Yeah, why do bears want to keep the price down? That's a good question. That's also, like someone else asked a very open question. That's also like opening Pandora's box. There are a lot of answers to that. For Bitcoin, though, because I'm sure that's what you're more curious of, it's not so much that bears want to keep the price down. It's just that every time we hit a level, let's replay this chart so this doesn't look misleading. Every time we hit a level, which in this case was 6,800, it was a key zone. I mean, if we look historically, 6,800 has been a support zone. It's been where candles have closed and where candles have opened for a very long time. Of course, if one candle closes, the other one opens in the same place. And so 6,800 is a key zone. It's been historical support and resistance, very key area. One of the more important zones for Bitcoin. Above say like 3,000-5,000. And so what we see is that once we get up to these levels, the bears, it's not like the bears are some like scheming people behind black doors that no one can see, and they're just shadowy figures. I mean, they're just normal people that want to sell their Bitcoin, and so what they're looking for is to sell it as high as possible. Of course, you want to buy low and sell high, and 6,800 being that key resistance level, once it goes up to those levels, people are going to step in and be like, okay, well, this could be the top. They're not saying it is the top, hopefully, but saying could, because it's possible, and so that's where they sell to take profit, and so it's not, like I said, to go back to your question, it's not because they want to it's not that they want to keep the price down, it's just that every time the price goes up, they're ready to take profits. Now, an alternative answer to that, from a more conspiracy side of things, would be that big players, the shadowy ones, want to keep Bitcoin suppressed to accumulate cheap Bitcoin and then pump it when they're ready. This could be months, weeks, years away. We really don't know. I don't buy into the second one as much. I do accept it as a possibility, but really I think it's a lot more innocent than that. It's just that people want to offload their Bitcoin, and 6,800 being a key level as an example. I mean, 10,000 also being a key level. It's all about how these numbers play into the psychology of the markets, and it's extremely fascinating. The Fibonacci retracement, you take that for example, might be worth pulling that up actually. So what you usually see is you draw this from the bottom of a trend to the top, and you'll usually see a 0.618 retracement, a 61.8% retracement from the high. It will go down to 61.8%, and that is exactly what happened with our low of this trend. Like I said, we're setting higher lows. This line is exactly on 6,166, and it's where our candles opened and closed for the bottom for Bitcoin, and this number is present in everywhere with Bitcoin. I mean, when Bitcoin retraces, this is often where you see Bitcoin falling to levels like 0.382 or whatever it was, and 786. It's quite fascinating that these prices line up with maths. I mean, math and psychology. I don't know. I personally wouldn't have thought that's a combination, but apparently it is. So that's pretty cool. Am I also a bear? No, I'm not. I take a neutral stance. I'm just here to make money. Okay, I love Bitcoin. I love what it stands by. You kind of have to if you want to be in this market. But, for me, my long-term view is that Bitcoin will go higher. And I didn't gain that view by myself. I mean, I do believe in the tech, but I'm also looking at long-term analysts. My long-term view is that Bitcoin will go up. And so my goal is simply to accumulate Bitcoin, because it's going to go up in USD anyway, according to what I think. So no, I'm not a bear, but if it's going down, I'm going to short it. If it's going up, I'm going to long it. And either way, I'll have more Bitcoin by the end of the week. So I'm happy. I'm not a Bitcoin bear. I'm just I'm a Bitcoin maximalist. Any coincidence that there's always a pump at 9:30 a.m.? Yes, George. I don't know if coincidence is the right word. More like eerie theory, shall we say? That rhymes. Yeah, no, mate. I mean, UTC close is usually where we see price action that's quite interesting. It's also at 1 p.m. UTC, and around 6 p.m. UTC, I think, as well. I can't remember these numbers off the top of my head, but it's usually around the same time. But see, the difference with that is, I mean, the caveat, I guess, is that happened during the bot action, right? When bots dominate the market. I don't think it's the case anymore, like I said. But also, more importantly, like that, it also lines up with, for example, when Asia wakes up. Asia, I think, is like 60% of crypto, and that's huge. And we don't, we're English speaking, so there aren't going to be many Asians watching this, and so we live in our own little bubble. For example, no offense to my US friends, I love the US, but there's this widely conceived notion, you might have heard about it, that US citizens live in their own bubble and they don't know what happens outside in the rest of the world. Maybe it's true. I don't know. I've never been there. I mean, just once, but when I was quite young. But we are the same. People in the West, Europe, and whatever. We don't really consider the Asians as much as we should be giving them credit for. I mean, they account for like nearly half of the population in the world or something like that. And so they account for a lot of volume, and that is when they wake up, 7, 8 a.m., it's around when UTC closes on the daily, and UTC is what the market does go off, so that's, it's 9 a.m. UTC in a couple minutes, and so you can expect Asians to be waking up, and there's a possibility, on the whole, I think we objectify them a bit too much, saying, oh, Asians are dumping, Asians are pumping, they are, it's a massive continent to start with, they are all individual people as well. We kind of forget that, I think, in this market, in the West, but, what we could see is, I'm going against what I just said, what we could see is, Asians pumping the market, when they wake up, or dumping, and, that's a huge tangent. I don't know why. I spent so much time on that. If you guys have any more questions, do drop them here. It's been a pleasure as usual. I think we're 30 minutes in. It doesn't feel like 30 minutes today. Time flies, right? People asking me where I got my name from. That's it. 4 flies. The flies came from Time Flies. I don't know where the 4 came from. Asia love rice and crypto. World population is 600 million. Yes, you know your stuff, mate. It is Bitcoin dominance is above 44%. Yeah, I want to talk about this actually, and volume as well. I forgot to talk about that here. So Bitcoin dominance still climbing up. This is very weird. I was talking about this in the VIP chat, and of course, if you guys want in, there's details on that in the description. But typically what you're going to see is, lately, especially in 2018, when Bitcoin goes up, alts rally alongside it. They rally better than Bitcoin, and they continue when Bitcoin consolidates. But that hasn't happened this time. If we look at this consolidation pattern for the past 24 hours, alts have actually, on the whole, been red today. There are only a handful that are green, and when they are, it's low amounts, apart from Digibyte, the one being shilled by Psychics now. It's been mostly a red day for alts, and so this is a bit surprising to me. I mean, we've seen the market cap on the whole increase. It was like 295 billion yesterday, and we're now looking at 288, which relative to where we were previously is a pretty good sign. But the fact that the money is in Bitcoin and also being liquidated from alts into Bitcoin does tell me that, Bitcoin's price isn't going down once these alts are liquidated. And so that means people selling alts are holding Bitcoin. They're not selling Bitcoin. And so what that does indicate to me is that on the whole, the sentiment is that Bitcoin will run harder than alts. That is kind of shocking to me because usually it doesn't happen. This is actually the action we had last year in 2017, the ancient dinosaur year, kind of. People watching here from before 2017 will laugh at that, but it's price action that we haven't seen lately, and you know what? I think it's a good sign. All right, like I said, I'm a Bitcoin maximalist. I don't really like alts. I only trade alts to get more Bitcoin. There are a few I like. Bcash, sorry, is excluded, but it's that's my take on it, and I think it's very interesting that we're seeing a rising dominance. This is actually a resistance for dominance. I'm not going to pull up that chart, but 44.4% is resistance for Bitcoin dominance, and so what we could see is it going down a little bit now. That would make sense, you know, potentially when we run again next time, potentially we go up to 7,700. Perhaps not when, but if, I don't know. We could see that money going back into altcoins because, like I said, it is resistance, and Bitcoin's overall trend with dominance has been to decrease over the past year. One more thing, yes, also volume. I mean, volume is very good, you know. We've been in this consolidation pattern for an hour, for a day in 20 hours. And the fact that we still have $17 billion volume within a consolidation pattern, to me, is extremely good news. So I'm really happy to see that. This gives us more confirmation for the bulls, and so it's the reason, you know, volume is, in my opinion, the most important indicator, and it's one of the ones I learnt the latest, because at first I found it so difficult. I think now, you know, knowing what I know, it's probably among the easier ones, but it's still definitely quite hard to get the hang of. Just, you know, it's just Bitcoin or just alt, you know, just the market being traded. Yet it's still a bit difficult to analyze, but I like what we're looking at right now. We're seeing increased volume once we've broken out of this trend, and on the whole, that is confirmation of a bull run. You know, like I said, when we formed this triple bottom, I wanted to see increasing volume the whole way through, including on that pump up. We didn't have it at all until we broke out of this. I mean, we were always below about 15 billion trading volume with a few exceptions. And so it is very good to finally see levels above 20 billion. And I'm sure when and if we do pump above these levels, 277, 82, different levels like that, we are going to see volume returning well above the $20 billion mark. And that is exactly where the market needs to be right now, in my opinion. Okay, so we're at 16 billion now, JBV saying in the chat. Thank you very much for letting me know. Yeah, so 17.015. Yeah, just dipping into the 16th here. I mean, look, it's still a consolidation pattern, and so I'm still happy to see this. You know, this is asking for a lot to see volume sustain at these levels within a consolidation pattern. So I do like what we're looking at, and it is a good sign. You know, just one potentially bearish thing, I only noticed it on this stream near the beginning, is that we've got an M shape here, and for those of you who will remember from previous price patterns, we have had similar M shapes. Maybe I should draw this. You know, we have had similar M shapes like this, and like this, and we're also forming one right now. So potentially that's a cause for concern. This has been, you know, what this means is we're testing a high, we test a low, we test a high again, and so that would send us down, because potentially it's more profitable to liquidate the longs, and so that means we would go down. Where do I think we stand in the Wall Street cheat sheet? Very good question. I think we are near the end. I think we're near the disbelief stage, but I'm not entirely sure. You see, the thing is, alright, and I'm thinking about this a lot, because it's quite important. You know, what happens in a bubble pop, alright? To start off, I need water for this one. So, what happens in a bubble pop is that you're going to set a high, you're going to go down, you'll test the high again, and what happens here is you're going down and you're like, oh, this is just a standard dip and we're going to go back up. And so this was that place where we were meant to go to 27,000 that time. Obviously it didn't happen. And so we did get completely cucked, and it went down. And it went down all the way to 5,900 on Coinbase, somewhere around there. And what you see with bubble pops is that the first initial drop is the most violent one, and after that, you're going to have a reaction rally up, and then on the whole, the rest of the trend isn't important, but the overall trend you're going to be seeing is a very slow, painful decline in price, and that will go on for months or years, typically years. If we look at NASDAQ, for example, it's been a while since I pulled up this chart, so I do want to look at this on stream today, guys. Composite one for this. Switch over to the weekly, because it takes so long to move. Not their fault though, of course. So, you know, you just look at this bubble pop, for example. This is very nice to compare to Bitcoin, in my opinion. because this was the dot-com bubble burst, which happened. What have I done? How do I move this up? Okay. Which happened. When was this? So it peaked in 2000, and it ran its course for more than a decade until it recovered. And so it's very comparable to Bitcoin, because the dot-com bubble burst was about tech, right? It was about tech companies on the internet. And while Bitcoin, if we compare it to the tech bubble, the dot-com bubble, dot-com was commercial, right? It's what people like you and I could use. Bitcoin, on the other hand, blockchain technology is a lot more like someone else mentioned on Twitter. I forgot his name. TCP/IP. If you guys know what TCP/IP is, why is everyone saying nice? Let's refresh the stream. Oh, right. Sorry about that. That's annoying. I do that quite a lot. Well, it's only twice, but okay, thank you guys for letting me know. Cool. Forgot my point. Right, yeah, so Bitcoin and TCP/IP. So, TCP/IP is going way beyond my knowledge now, but it's like the back end, I think, of how internet works, of network connections. Just pretend you can see it. Aaron coming in with the clutch comment. Yes, just pretend you can. Okay, it should be up now. I'm still getting comments about it. Is it? Yeah, it's up now, right? Okay. Yeah, I think. Just watch the chat. It's back. Okay, great. Thank you. This chat is so delayed. I need to get better internet to make these live streams more real time. But the fact that Bitcoin represents the underlying technology for the internet means that perhaps you can't compare it to this bubble pop, but nonetheless we will. And what you see with this initial drop is it's very violent. It goes down to set a low. We make a reaction rally, and then it sets a lower low. So this should have been a lower low, but of course NASDAQ being the composite, this is, I believe, the collection of all the stocks being traded within NASDAQ. And so it isn't as natural. I think it makes a lot more sense to compare it to Bitcoin to old bubble pop, because it is Bitcoin, and we are looking at Bitcoin at the end of the day. So if we look at that instead, switch over to, actually now let's stay with a linear graph. Go to the daily. Let's zoom out a little bit. Don't know where this is. Okay. So what we saw, how do I take this off? Yep. Switch to the 3-day, I think. 3 days more suitable, because this bubble pop did take a very long time to finish. But we saw an initial very steep drop. We saw a reaction rally, and then a continued very slow decline. And the end of that bubble pop was in 2015, where we formed a triple bottom. We had very strong relative stability. The price has only moved. Let's check out this range, actually. I've never actually analyzed this range very much. And wow, I mean, we only traded within 50%. Of Bitcoin's price action, of Bitcoin's price actually, for an entire year, nearly an entire year, and we've had that stability already, guys. I mean, we look at Bitcoin now. Go back to my Coinbase chart, take off these lines. We've got that stability. We've got the triple bottom. We've got the confirmation of an uptrend now, breaking out of resistance. Actually, you know what? I want to pull up the inverse head and shoulders. Right, because I haven't done this in a while, and this is a very important chart. I mean, I keep on showing this to you guys. I mean, what would you do? Let's take off this giant question mark. You consider we get rejected from this, and what this does is it flips the chart vertically, and so the objective here is to remove bias so that you can't really understand it. Israel's blessing, TCP/IP, or the transmission protocol. We need to hear this. Where is it? Transmission protocol, internet protocol. Thank you very much. Yes, so technical stuff that I don't know. Assume this is a downtrend. It's supposed to remove bias because it's flipped around. Would you buy this chart? So we're in a massive downtrend. All right, we consolidate within a rising wedge. So we're going down. We form a rising wedge, and we get rejected by resistance 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and now we've actually broken out. So this line isn't even accurate. Let's make this line accurate now. And we have closed below this support line. It's a bit hard to say because it's all flipped around, and I'm so used to looking at the regular Bitcoin chart. But we've closed below this support line. we have formed an inverse head and shoulders. Sorry, a head and shoulder pattern. Let's actually draw that as well. You know, we formed a head and shoulders pattern, and we still we broke down, and so that's a very bearish sign. That's a reversal pattern. So I think if we look at the inverse Bitcoin chart, it's a very bullish case. You know, it's a very bullish case. And I looked at this video in one of my videos where I said Bitcoin will explode in 48 hours, and lo and behold, we made like a 200% gain longing that from 5,800 to 6,400. And of course, if we kept that long open up to now, probably be a 10x or whatever. But unfortunately, I didn't have that foresight. But no, you know, closing below this support line would typically indicate to you that we're about to go in absolute free fall, and you know, the zero is the bottom, or in our case, $20,000. So you know, that's the inverse chart. That's that done. Very bullish, and you know, it marks the end of the bubble pop to me. You know, I mean, very stable price action within this area, especially June and July. I mean, I think it's quite misleading on this chart because it looks so volatile, but really, in reality, I mean, we've traded within this rectangle. Let me draw that here. You know, we've just traded within this area for a very long time, and so that's stability, right? That's what you see at the end of a bubble pop. We've already had the worst of it. To go back to the original question, if there even was a question, I forgot now. We've already seen the worst of it, and you know what, though, it is possible that we are forming yet another reaction rally. We go up maybe even a little bit higher, and then we go down, and in fact, that is what my original post said. Originally, I did say that we're going to hit $8,000, or $7,700, and our support line is going to fail, and it's going to be a rising wedge. And then we'll drop below, and we'll end up testing the low 5,000. So obviously my sentiment has changed when we've seen increasing movement going in the other direction, now going up. But I am staying extremely aware. That is why my main target for Bitcoin now is $7,700. It's where we encountered a fair bit of resistance within the $7,000 range. And then of course we could break down, and really, if we do, that's not a good sign at all. That's going to be pretty disastrous, actually. I mean, it would mean Bitcoin's going to go quite low. Log scale breakout. Yeah, I did. I mean, that's the chart I just showed you. Can't even say your name. How is that meant to be said? Check out the Bitcoin chart now on Bitfinex. So this is the log chart here, and yes, we have had a breakout. So again, this is the chart not being flipped, and so what we have is a very firm uptrend with a falling wedge, a continuation pattern. Those who watched my candle pattern video will remember this. A falling wedge formation, a continuation pattern, followed by a breakout with volume, mind you. So very bullish, very bullish to me. So no, I do love seeing this. I've gone through everything I wanted to, guys. Though I'm gonna have to start wrapping it up here. Been 45 minutes. I just want to take a couple final questions for you guys, and then look at heading off. Is there a crypto composite chart at all, even just top 100? Cam Mason, unfortunately not, but you can look at the market cap chart. Unfortunately, we can't chart this because it's not on TradingView. We can't add trend lines. People do it nonetheless. I think it's very weird, but you know, it is a chart that represents the whole crypto market. I wish we could analyze it like we can on TradingView. Maybe it's going to come eventually. Maybe that's a business plan for you, Cam Mason. I think you'd make a decent amount of money if you offer a service like that. I did want to say a fuck ton of money. Actually, no. Yeah, well, yeah, I did. Cup and handle forming. No, there's no cup and handle. I mean, there are, you know, on the 1 hour, on the 4 hour, and all that. But I don't. Well, cup and handles on the 4 hour potentially, but on the 1 hour, it's too small of a time frame. Yeah, Cam Mason, do check it out. I think you might like it. Tone Vase says $2 Bitcoin tomorrow. This time is different. Highly likely to be approved. Research it. Yeah, so I think that's talking about the ETF approval. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it has a decent chance of being approved, and if so, with this kind of market, it will give us a very nice run. It will potentially... how low can Neo go? Is that a meme now? I've heard that so many times. But yeah, that ETF approval thing very easily could, trigger something pretty massive with Bitcoin. That would be fun. When next future close? I believe SIBO closed today. It doesn't seem to have done anything. I'm not sure how much longer I'll be looking at these futures dates. Maybe this is me being in denial, but we haven't reversed yet. Maybe we will tomorrow. I mean, like I said, I do expect us to dip tomorrow. We've had 3 days of blue movement, and we are oversold. I mean, the daily isn't oversold yet. We're at 67. We will be with another blue day, though, I think. But, it looks due for at least a small pullback of a couple $100. Like I said, I'm not going to be shorting this, though. I'm not going to be selling or anything, because it's going to give small gains, and what's the point playing that when you can get a 2x with probably a lot more stress, Like I said, this pattern, this bilateral pattern, is a bit of a red flag to me. But it means uncertainty. It doesn't mean bearish. It just means uncertainty. The reason I got my bearish sentiment for the short term is that we've had this Ichi resistance being rejected. Rejecting us, I guess. I don't know. We've had a very high RSI. We've had very fast movement. How many consecutive blue candles is this? You guys know I'm bad at math, and by virtue I can't count either, but that's 5 continuous daily blue candles. It's very rare we see that. As of lately anyway, and so definitely one red candle I think is on the cards. And it would be a decent little dip there. So, just something to warn you of. Like I said, I don't think it's worth trading. Of course, none of this is financial advice. People asking about alts, smash the likes. Thank you very much, DD Judge. Alts... You can see the price action right now, just continuing to do bad. It still surprises me that people are holding on to alt from January. It's been 7 months, and I think by now it's time to really evaluate what your decisions are. Just me. You know what? I've been getting a couple questions about this in PMs, and my response has been that alts will run now. Because if Bitcoin is going to go up, alts will follow. Whether they do it with Bitcoin or after Bitcoin doesn't really matter. It's just that the alts you're holding will probably go up. The question you have to ask yourself is it worth waiting for them to go up? Say you're sitting on an 80% loss and you get a 10% gain. That doesn't mean your loss is now 70%. That means your loss is going to be maybe 75%, right? You have to look at how these percentages work. And so you have to evaluate what's going to make your money rise faster and higher. And so guy in our chat, I'm sure he'd like a shout out. I don't know, Gibbles and Bits, something like that. Hilarious name. He mentioned, after seeing the profits you can make trading Bitcoin on margin, he doesn't really want to look at alts anymore. And that's my view as well. I don't see a point looking at alts when we can make a 2x gain on every major Bitcoin move. Whereas an alt will give you about 20%. It just makes more sense to spend more time on Bitcoin, especially you consider our success rate extremely high. I mean, we're playing with very low risk. We only enter at key levels. We only leave at key levels. And so our risk is extremely low. The rewards are very fruitful. And so the only benefit, in my opinion, to trading alts is lower risk. Forgot my point. Yes, lower risk and potentially having some fun, throwing around numbers like, yo, I got a 5% gain. Look at me, I'm pretty cool. It's been 50 minutes, guys, on stream. I think this is the longest stream I've ever done. Maybe. No, I think one of them went for 1 hour. So, yeah, it's been a pleasure as usual, guys. Make sure you smash those likes once more. Aaron, preaching VIP and its benefits. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's great. So if you guys are interested, I think I've been getting a couple messages. Yeah, a couple to keep it light. Yeah, about VIP. I will get back to you right at the end of this stream, guys. I hope you have benefited from this. I hope you've learned something. All of that good stuff. Keep the amazing comments coming in. We've got like 99 amazing people for every one troll, which is a pretty good rate. You know, this channel I think is doing pretty well compared to the rest of the community, and maybe that's because I help you guys make money. You know, I saw someone in the comments today saying something like, "Why don't you give the people in the free channel some signals so they can join VIP?" And I actually do. So it's the link in Telegram, in the description for my Telegram group. I do give signals there in gold. They are free, and many people have messaged me, you know, 400% returns using those gold signals. So it's not like you can only make profits in VIP. It's just that there is more room for them, you know, and you get my closed signals. You get, you know, you can talk to me anytime you like, and calls and different things like that. There's a lot, you know. Message me and I'll give you information on it. Start a Discord. Buddha fan, I'm considering it very strongly right now. I will, you know, we've already got a public Crypto Mafia gold Discord, but I'm looking at making that a bit of a more serious thing. Yeah. But guys, with that though, like I said, it has been a pleasure. I love getting on these streams. I get to live out my radio talk show fantasy. So, yeah, guys, I'm a sign off here. Make sure you smash those likes, subscribe, tick the bell, join the Telegram group, buy everything in the world, you know, smash everything, whatever. Don't riot, be safe, all that good stuff. I'm out.